Michael Patrick Shields is on the air.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant hump day Wednesday to you. It's Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. We have a lot of news and a huge number of guests for you this morning, starting with the first anniversary of the death of 11 workers and the largest oil spill in U.S. history. 5 million barrels of oil were released into the Gulf of Mexico 1 year ago today. And now all of those waters are open for commercial and recreational fishing. At the peak of the oil disaster, 88,000 square miles of the Gulf were closed to fishing. And we will go live to the Gulf and talk to Doug Inkley, a senior scientist with the National Wildlife Federation, and find out just exactly how that region is doing 1 year later. And that's part of what we'll have for you this morning. We're going to be going live also to the New York Auto Show, see what's the latest on four wheels. Trish Reagan will join us, the CNBC anchor. Have you ever seen her on The Call? She's been nominated for the Emmy Award. And Mike Bouchard, the Oakland County Sheriff, will be along too. He was a candidate, as you recall, for governor, candidate for United States Senate. And we've got a lot of things to talk to him about. I'm wondering what he thinks of how the governor is doing, first of all. Secondly, there was a 12-year-old girl who attempted to rob a store in order to get some money to help her mother pay the mortgage because her parents were going through a divorce. That's making national news, and Mike Bouchard was on CNN yesterday. I want to talk to him about that. Also, get his thoughts on that judge who decided not to charge a bar with allowing its patrons to smoke. What happens next to the smoking ban if the judge says, we're not going to take away their license and we're not going to fine them this time? Maybe next time. Also, Gary Austin, national news coming out of Michigan that I'll look forward to talking to the sheriff about. The Michigan State Police apparently have a high-tech mobile forensics device, and they can extract information from cell phones when they pull you over for a traffic violation. So the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, is demanding that state officials stop stonewalling Freedom of Information requests for information on that program. What are they getting off of those phones? They're getting the pictures you've taken, they're getting the texts you've made, the calls you've made, who's in your address book. Is that Jake? So we'll talk to the sheriff about that. And tomorrow we'll talk to a couple attorneys about that matter. And somebody from the Michigan State Police, I'm told, will be with us as well. That will be tomorrow on the program. So don't get pulled over by the state police between now and then till you hear from us tomorrow morning. Gary Austin is the anchorman on the program. He is with us this morning. Good morning to you.
Well, hi, Michael. So is this a device that the police have where they can kind of tap into this phone sort of like on the spot and figure out what's on it?
Apparently. I suppose it may be meant to tell if you were texting or while driving. I'm guessing, but we'll find out tomorrow. And I did speak to the state police director, Colonel Etchu, and she's on vacation, so someone will be with us to discuss it tomorrow morning. I got in touch with her last night on vacation.
I tell you, the high-tech devices today, just astounding.
Sure is.
It's just amazing what technology can do.
You know, they are getting huge amounts of snow in northern Michigan, in Petoskey and Traverse City, 4 to 6 inches, in fact, yesterday and today, and maybe more. And I'm told that there's an 80% chance of snow today and going on into tomorrow, and then it'll start to lighten up a little bit, and temperatures will be in the 40s. So we'll get a live report from northern Michigan, where we have listeners on WJML and WJNL in Petoskey and Traverse City, where suddenly it's Christmas. It's a winter wonderland all over again, when it's supposed to be getting April showers and May flowers.
Yeah, you get a little April snow skiing in, it sounds like, up there.
Yeah, I don't know. In fact, since you mentioned that, we ought to call Boyne and Crystal Mountain, some of the others, to see what's going on.
Anyway, some people
spring
planning,
skiing.
Yeah, a little spring skiing vacation weekend coming up for some folks. Why not?
Oh, dear. Now, the governor's proposal, I wonder if there are any snow days, if the kids are in school today because of the snow there. They're pretty tough. I think they probably would sort that out, but we'll find out. Speaking of school days, there's some adjustment now. The governor wanted to cut $470 per pupil in student school aid, and that's been softened a bit.
Yeah, it has. Trimmed by a bit, though some in education will still say the $340 per pupil cut.
Too much?
That was hammered out by that Senate subcommittee is still too much, but still, that's quite a drop from what the governor wanted, $470 to $340. Now, a Senate subcommittee has approved this, and from there, the full Senate's going to take it up, and a vote could come on this sometime next week. So, of course, when that happens, then the House has to concur, and then off to the governor it goes. So we could have a monetary fight here. If the governor doesn't like it, if it lands on his desk at 340, will he not
say
sign
not
it and
enough.
ship it back?
That's
We'll
a good
see.
question.
Yeah.
And will the teachers and the teachers union find it palatable?
Yes.
Probably not. I'm guessing just on theory.
Well, it's still a sizable chunk. Again, considerably less, but still a lot. And I just wonder if this is one of those issues that could fuel teachers. And they're not very happy, education in general, about this. And still a lot of talk about a possible
Would they dare
work
strike?
stoppage.
Work
I mean,
stoppage
it could happen.
or a walkout
We'll see.
or the blackboard flu.
Yeah.
There's a guy in Saginaw handing out $100 bills.
Yeah, he is. Putting them in with Easter cards and dropping them in carts anonymously. No one knows who this guy is. And
Happy Easter.
yeah, I'll
That's
say.
what he says.
Yeah, the Save-A-Lot and Walmart stores in the Saginaw area. That's
It's
where
a
this
white
guy's been
man in
hanging
his
out.
40s.
Yeah,
Could that be a publicity stunt by Walmart?
I never thought of that. I saw the
Call
story
me a
that did
cynic.
not occur to me until you just said. Now, Walmart and Save-A-Lot. Now, he's doing it at 2 stores.
Oh, okay.
So could
Maybe.
that be?
I hope he's real.
You got to be thinking, if you're in the Saginaw area, if you're heading that way today, I mean, it's got to be in the back of your mind. You got a little shopping to do. Why not drop into one or the other? And maybe just you could have $100 or $200 dropped into your shopping cart. That is, could that be a way to entice people to? Who knows?
Do you know I'm a white man in my 40s?
Was that you?
Do you think it might be me?
It
I mean,
could
I
be.
am heard on radio stations in Saginaw. I'm
Well.
just saying.
You never know.
We make him our Northwood University. Just kidding, of course. Our Northwood University leader of the day. Northwood University is celebrating 41 years of producing leaders, and he's showing leadership in his own way, going
Yes.
around spreading goodwill and free
Yes.
enterprise.
Yeah, way to go, whoever you are.
He may be anonymous, but you cannot be anonymous in the future if you want an absentee ballot. Looks like the new Secretary of State, Ruth Johnson, has an idea that anyone can have an absentee ballot. You don't need an excuse anymore. This is her plan, right? She's saying you can get a ballot. You don't have to say you're going to be out of town or you can't get to the poll. You know, usually now if you want an absentee ballot, you got to give a reason. Well, she's saying, hey, anybody wants one, they can have one. All they have to do is show a photo ID in order to get it because they don't want any voter fraud.
Yeah.
That's her plan right now.
It's kind of loosening the rules there a bit.
It's a happy middle ground, isn't
yeah,
it?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, she said she was going to do that sort of thing, and she's wasting no time. And
20% of people who vote use absentee ballots.
Is that right? 2
That's
out
what
of
I
10
hear.
nowadays. Is that right?
Chris
You know what,
Thomas says that, the director of elections.
you know what? I bet as the rules and regs for that sort of thing get loosened, more and more will
Well,
take that option.
30 states have no excuse absentee balloting, meaning you can get one if you want one. So maybe we'll be next.
Yeah. You know who else says no excuses? Attorney General Bill Schuette. And it all comes down to this business involving collecting money for child support. Back in 2003, the AG's office set up a child support division. And Bill Schuette is saying since then, $100 million in child support payments have been rounded up. And he emphasizes here the division is focused on moms and dads who can pay support, but for whatever reason, just don't.
Grand Rapids school superintendent looks like he really wants out. Bernard Taylor.
Yeah, it's hard. You know, when he had the gig that he was looking at in Syracuse, New York, and this was a while ago, and he took himself out of the running, saying he liked Grand Rapids, wanted to stay put, and now in the Cleveland area, apparently he's in the running for another job there. And boy, Bernard Taylor's a popular guy. Whether or not he takes the job, if he gets it, remains to be seen. But reports indicate, Metro sources telling us today, he is one of the finalists for a superintendent's job, a similar job to what he's doing in Grand Rapids, but in Cleveland.
He's got about a week left, and the rest of us do if we want to have dinner at Michigan's only 5-diamond-rated restaurant, the 1913 room in the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel,
Yep,
shutting down April 26th.
Yeah, in Grand Rapids, been around forever, and you know, it just
And they're not going to have any sort of goodbye or anything, just going to go quietly into that great night, and that'll be that. And then this fall, I suppose with much fanfare, on the other hand, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse will open up there in that spot in the Amway Grand Hotel.
Amway Grand in Grand Rapids. Yeah.
Hey, did you hear the audio of the president? He did a couple of local television interviews at the White House for different regions across the U.S. And this guy, Brad Watson from Dallas, he is a reporter at WFAA, and he got into a sort of a testy exchange with the president on camera. He asked him questions like, why are you so unpopular in Texas? And the president was very uncomfortable. And at the end of the interview, the president told him when it was done and they were taking off their microphones, he said, "Let me finish my answers the next time we do an interview, all right?" He was mad. You want to hear it?
Yes.
We'll hear it when we get back from this break in 4 minutes.
And you have it?
Yeah, we'll play
Terrific.
it in 4 minutes, as soon as we get back.
If it's out there, Michael Patrick Shields will find it.
Because I wonder what you would think if you sat down with the president and your news is a service of?
Well, AmericanMetalRoofs.com, of course. Never, ever worry again about the weather with a beautiful, guaranteed American Metal Roof. Check it out, AmericanMetalRoofs.com, a fantastic website. Call them too, 877-569-4700.
We'll hear the president's testy exchange and get a snow report from the Petoskey area. When we get back, it's Michael Patrick Shields, 18 after the hour. Well, we're certainly in some sort of shoulder period here, that's for sure, where it's raining on the Capitol Dome right now and across mid-Michigan, and that's a winter wonderland playing in the background. Gary Austin suggested we get in touch with the Traverse City, Petoskey area, where we're heard on WJML and WJNL. And Aaron Ernst, Gary, is with Boyne, USA, in that Petoskey sort of Walloon Lake area there. Good morning, Aaron.
Good snowy morning to you, Michael Patrick.
Is it a spring-like day throughout the Boyne country?
It's a very snowy day, yes. It's a winter wonderland once again.
What'd you get overnight? Is it how much snow?
Oh, I would say we got a good 6 inches.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen in April, is it?
Yeah, no, it has not happened in April in a very long time, not that I can remember.
Yeah, I hear you're going to get 80% chance of snow again today, and then it's going to start to warm up into the 40s after that, maybe in time for Easter. But it's got to be unusual to be shoveling and dusting and having a sideways drive to work at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. It sure is, and it catches you right in there. And, of course, that's springtime in northern Michigan. But, we had a golf course open last weekend, and we wrapped up our last weekend of skiing at Boyne Mountain. And now who knows? I think golf's postponed for a little bit, and we'll see what happens for the slopes this weekend.
Gee, really? Do you think you might crank up a lift?
We'll see. I never rule anything out, and with this snowfall, and we'll just kind of see what the next projected few days are like. And, we'll just have to take a look to Boyne.com when the official call is made.
Well, Boyne.com, if they decide to crank up a lift at the Highlands or at the mountain, check it out there. I mean, it would be sort of novel, I guess. But it sort of it upsets your body clock, I would think, to look at.
Yeah, absolutely it does. But, there would be something pretty cool about being able to ski on Easter weekend, especially this late into April. So, and we do have a lot of Easter festivities also planned, so kind of a neat combination of events for the weekend.
Yeah, well, they might have to have Santa Claus deliver the Easter eggs this
year.
Yeah,
absolutely. It might be a little tricky to find those Easter eggs.
Boyne.com is where you can check it out and drive safely and enjoy the winter wonderland. It's supposed to be April showers bringing May flowers, and you're getting snow. And so it's on your web. But stay warm. Aaron Ernst at Boyne, USA. That's where you can find them. Gary Austin, you wanted to hear this audio. This would heat things up for sure in terms of snow, because Brad Watson from Dallas, WFAA. Imagine this now. You could put yourself in his shoes, Gary. They said to you, you can interview the President of the United States. You get 5 minutes or whatever it is. Come to the White House. Sit down. You might be polite to the president, but this Brad Watson decided to go after him. And at the end of the interview, which you'll hear right now, you can hear the president, when they're taking off their microphones, say, "Next time, let me finish my answers before we do an interview, all right?" Because he cuts him off a couple times. Here's what it sounds like.
We met the president in the map room of the ground level of the White House, where he said his deficit reduction plan is better with its higher taxes on the rich and cuts.
We can take a more balanced approach, consistent with what my fiscal commission put forward, which says $2 trillion worth of cuts.
But in Texas, his plan is a tough sell.
Why do you think you're so unpopular in Texas?
Well, look, Texas has always been a pretty Republican state for historic reasons.
However, he inferred his election meant Texas politics were changing.
We lost by a few percentage points in Texas.
Well, you lost by about 10.
Well,
55-44.
I understand. If what you're telling me is Texas is a conservative state, you're absolutely right.
Republican Governor Rick Perry harshly and frequently criticizes the president over the health care law, EPA regulations on Texas oil and gas industries, and the budget. But Mr. Obama hinted at hypocrisy by Perry.
Governor Perry helped balance his budget with about $6 billion worth of federal help. which he happily took, and then started blaming the members of Congress who had offered that help.
Houston Republicans and Democrats suspect the Obama administration skipped Houston to award shuttle orbiters to states that would help in the president's reelection.
That's wrong.
Entered into this. So was the shuttle not awarded to Houston because of politics?
I just said that was wrong. We had nothing to do with it. The White House had nothing to do with it. There was a whole commission, a whole process. That's how the decision was made.
And you weren't personally involved in the decision?
I just said that wasn't true.
He claimed an immigration reform bill still isn't dead.
So the question is going to be, are we going to be able to find some Republicans who can partner with me and others to get this done once and for all instead of using it as a political football?
And the president says he's not giving up on Texas.
Are you going to campaign in Texas for re-election, or is the state written off?
I never write off any states.
You're not going to write off?
I never write off states, and I love Texas.
After the interview, Mr. Obama pointed out that he doesn't like an interviewer challenging his comments.
Let me finish my answers next time we do an interview. All right. Thank you.
Did you hear that, Gary?
Of course, there's never enough.
Did you hear him say that?
That's an interesting
Let me
interesting
finish
story.
my answers the next time we do an interview, all right?
Yeah, rarely do we hear an
behind
elected
the scenes
official
there.
at that high a level in such a candid position with a reporter firing
Taking
questions,
after.
rapid fire back and forth. However, I will say I think the president handled things very well. I mean, this.
Well,
this,
he didn't like being told that, he said, well, I lost by a few percentage points in Texas, and the interviewer jumped in and said, you lost by 10. Is 10 a few?
Well,
He didn't like that. And he didn't like that at all.
I think all in all, though, based on the way the rapid fire thing went back and forth between the reporter and the president, I thought the president handled it very well. But I think that's a good case in point why elected officials, especially at that level, really try to distance themselves. I mean, they have spokespeople, they have others who
Let me
handle
finish
a
my
lot of that
answers
stuff
the next
for 'em.
time we do an interview. I got a feeling there isn't going to be a next time, didn't you? I think that's probably.
I think in that case that's probably true. But again, interviews like that are very, very rare with someone in that high political office.
You want to go to the New York Auto Show with me?
The New York Auto Show would be terrific, and are we heading there right now, I assume?
Right this very moment with Roger
Perfect.
Clark, the senior manager from General Motors Energy Center on what is Earth Week. In fact, on Friday, we'll be broadcasting live from our American Metal Roofs studio, where they can save you up to 50% on your energy bills and help you be more green friendly with solar panels in your roof and that sort of thing. Good morning to Roger Clark in the Big Apple. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing, Michael?
Oh, good to talk to you. I was a little, I'm a little curious. There's a story making news this morning that Toyota is going to be measuring the radiation levels in the vehicles they're exporting in order to provide customer peace of mind. Do you think that's possible that parts or Toyota vehicles coming from Japan could have radiation in them?
Well, Michael, I'm not a nuclear expert. I'm a fuel economy expert, but I don't think so. It's just my opinion.
Well, they at least want people to know they're checking. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
And then-
I think it's probably a good point.
And they're cutting back on production, too, because they're having trouble getting parts. And if those parts did have some sort of radiation level, we would want to know about it, I guess. People are becoming much more savvy when it comes to their vehicles. And in that case, small cars, I'm told, are at a premium all of a sudden. Gas prices are averaging in some state over $4 a gallon. And so now all of a sudden the small car is the prized car, and with good reason, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have our new Chevrolet Cruze we just released, and it's getting over 42 on the highway, so class leading, and you can't keep them in the dealership.
80% of people, I understand, say the gas prices have influenced what sort of vehicle they're going to buy. And maybe there are some ways to drive a car that can help you save a little on the fuel economy, too. I mean, are there things you can do to get better gas mileage, whether you have a Chevy Cruze or any other sort of vehicle?
Absolutely. There's a ton of things. The most important thing is how you drive, and every vehicle is very sensitive to the speed. People don't realize if you're driving 50, between 40 and 50, you get your peak fuel economy. But every 10 miles an hour above 50, you start losing 4 miles per gallon, and it adds up. At 60, you're down 4, 70, you're down 8, 80, you're down 12 miles per gallon. It's very, very sensitive.
Is that because
and
of the
acceleration's really important too.
Does that have to do with the wind drag, or does it have to do with the amount of gas coming through the system based on how you push the accelerator?
It's mostly wind drag because 40% of the energy cruising down the road at a highway speed is due to wind drag. What happens is, your vehicle's trying to push through the air and it's just pushing back on you. And the faster and faster you go, it actually is a squared function with the force that your vehicle sees. So you get a lot of extra drag at higher speeds. Your engine compensates, but it can't fully compensate. So it's getting more and more efficient, but just a huge factor is your speed.
You might want to consider then taking bike racks and extra accessories off the roof, I guess, because the cars are designed, are they not, to decrease wind drag to begin with?
Yeah, absolutely. We do a lot to make sure the wind goes over the vehicle and in a very smooth fashion. So bike racks or anything like that. The other one, sort of a myth, people think they can not use their AC and save fuel, but above 40 miles an hour, you're better off closing your windows and using your AC because the wind drag will kill you on the fuel economy. It'll really reduce your fuel economy if you keep your windows open above 40.
Really? So people always thought you turn the air conditioner off, you could save fuel, but that's not the case. It's in a race between fresh air through the windows and air-conditioned air, you should go with the air conditioner.
Exactly. Above 40. Below 40, you're okay to open your windows.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big deal, but above 40, it's a huge amount of additional drag, way more than running your AC.
And get your air filter checked. What about air pressure in the tires?
That's important. It's probably not the biggest one. It's about a mile per gallon if you get your tires really low. So you want to use there's a little placard inside the door. Mm-hmm. Just look at that and find the right pressure, and you'll get the right stopping, handling performance, optimum performance of the vehicle, and the best fuel economy.
If you're going to idle, some people say, well, it takes more gas to turn the car on and off than it does to idle. What's the limit on idle time between when you should turn it off and turn it back on?
Yeah, if you're going to sit for more than 30 seconds or a minute or so, it's probably best to shut it off. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be a nuisance on the road or anything, but basically if you're going through a drive-through and you know you're going to be sitting for a minute or so or more, it's better to shut it off. Today's vehicles, they restart very efficiently. They don't really use a lot of extra fuel to restart.
Okay, and obviously you can time the lights right and keep your foot off the accelerator and roll to a stop.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mentioned acceleration, but that's the second biggest factor after speed is acceleration and how you drive. The best thing to do is look ahead. Every time you're using your
accelerator and not your brake, you're burning up gas. So you just kind of roll to the light. This becomes like a game, doesn't it? And some of those cars have that automatic sensor that tells you what your fuel economy is. And if you can see that thing up in the 30s and 40s and 50s, then you're doing pretty good. 35 minutes after the hour, George Stephanopoulos got into it with Donald Trump on Good Morning America. Since we're listening to arguments this morning, we'll hear a little bit of that this morning. Politics is our family business. It's Michael Patrick Shields. That was Roger Clark from General Motors at the New York Auto Show. Speaking of fuel mileage and so forth, in Minnesota, the Minnesota Department of Transportation is now thinking that a fee on road usage might someday be necessary because of the fuel-efficient hybrid cars on the road. That may decrease revenue from the gas tax. So they're looking now at a mileage-based user fee. They're testing technology that would charge you a tax per mileage instead of relying on the gas tax or toll booths, I guess would be another way. So George Stephanopoulos interviews Donald Trump, who supposedly middle next month is going to decide yes or no. He's making a serious run at the presidency, Republican nomination. And here's what it sounded like on Good Morning America when these two got a little hot under the collar.
Early look at the Republican horse race. Mitt Romney leading the field. Donald Trump coming in second at 8% ahead of Mike Huckabee, Sarah Palin, Newt Gingrich, a bunch of GOP veterans right there. And who would have thought a year ago that Donald Trump would be doing this well? In other polls, he's actually leading the Republican field. I sat down with him yesterday for an extensive conversation, 35-minute conversation. As we said, we talked about every big issue he's going to face, and we started with his number one issue, turning the economy around and bringing gas prices down.
This country is in such trouble. If you look at what China's doing to us, if you look at, look at what's going on with your gasoline prices. They're going to go to $5, $6, $7, and we don't have anybody in Washington that calls OPEC and says, fellas, it's time. It's over. You're not going to do it anymore.
So what would you do to back up that threat?
Oh, it's so easy, George. It's so easy. It's all about the messenger. They wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for us. These 12 guys sit around a table and they say, let's just screw the United States and, frankly, the rest of the world.
But it's not just
they
the
wouldn't
messenger.
even be there.
It's the message. And so finish this sentence. If you don't produce more oil...
Look, I'm going to look them in the eye. I'll say, fellas, you've had your fun. Your fun is over.
Why? How?
We protect Saudi Arabia. We have soldiers over there that they don't pay us for, by the way. We have soldiers all over the Middle East protecting these countries. It
So
may
you would
fall
threaten to take
anyway.
away that protection?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You think they're our friends? They're not our friends.
You say it's all about the messenger. A lot of Republicans think you're a flawed messenger for the party. Karl Rove, again over the weekend, saying you're a joke candidate if you continue to raise questions about President Obama's citizenship.
There's a real question about the birth certificate. There's a real question about his own
But
citizenship.
Sir, there is no question.
L-
He's
let
got
me
a
just say,
certificate
George,
of live
George,
birth that is
George,
recognized by
I
the
know
State
exactly
Department.
what you're getting at.
The
And for
facts.
some reason, no, they're not the facts. He doesn't have a birth certificate, or he hasn't provided. He's given a certificate of live birth. It's a much different
Certificate
instrument.
of live birth meets the standard of the
Not
State Department
the
for
same.
anyone's citizenship.
George.
There were contemporaneous reports in two
George, they have
Hawaiian
co-opted
newspapers
you.
given his... No, those are the facts,
George,
sir.
they've co-opted you.
Who's they?
It's not obviously Obama and his minions. They have co-opted you. A certificate of live birth is not the same thing by any stretch
It is
of
what
the
the State
imagination
Department
as a birth
recognizes as
certificate.
the standard of
George, it's so simple.
1961, two
Let
Honolulu
him, George,
newspapers.
let him show the birth certificate.
This
And by the way,
question-
this is not a big focus of my campaign.
You don't believe it's why
My
you've gone
big
to the top of the
focus is
polls?
China and OPEC and all of these countries that are just absolutely destroying the United States.
But Mr. Trump,
this
you
is
say,
not a
you
big
say
focus.
it's not a big focus of yours as long as you continue to raise
George,
questions.
you make it a big focus. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
But you're the one
a
who's not leaving
certificate
it
of
alone.
live birth and a birth certificate are very
You said
different
that you have sent
instruments.
investigators to Hawaii, and you said, quote, they cannot believe what they're finding.
We're
What
going to
have they
see
found?
what happens,
What have they
George.
found?
Well, it's none of your business right now. We're going to see what happens.
Have they found anything?
We're going to see what happens.
What have they done?
We are going to see what happens.
When?
George, next question, George.
You refuse to accept that the president was born in the United States.
I hope he was. I'm not looking, if I should run, and if I decide to go, and I end up getting the nomination, I don't want to use this as an issue. I hope that by that time it's totally solved.
Today, the head of the Club for Growth, a major group inside the Republican Party, has said you're just another liberal, focusing...
A liberal?
A liberal.
Me, a liberal?
Me, a liberal? Well, at one time he was pro-choice, and now he's pro-life, and those are some of the things that will come up. That's Donald Trump with George Stephanopoulos. Next question, George, he says. We're going to see what happens. Snowmobile deaths are down 50% from last winter. We're going to talk with Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard a little bit later, find out his reaction. One of the safest snowmobiling seasons on record, in fact. And Oakland County Sheriff ran for governor, ran for United States Senate. He's also going to bring us up to date. He was on CNN yesterday talking about that 12-year-old girl who tried to rob a store with a gun to try to get money for her mother to pay the mortgage because her mother was going through a divorce. A very sad story, getting national attention. Gold futures are now $1,500.50 an ounce. John Pierre Medawar will join us to say how maybe you can start unloading your gold, or is it a good time to buy? That's coming up shortly. Stocks made modest gains yesterday on Wall Street. The Dow was up 65, the S&P gained 7 points, and the NASDAQ was up 10 points. We never let the birthday of a beautiful woman pass without taking note. Jessica Lange is 62. Remember her in Tootsie? And she was in that King Kong remake, too, and lots of other movies. And Carmen Electra. Carmen Electra is 39 today. Scary Movie 4, I guess she has a role in. Starsky and Hutch. And it was Baywatch where she got it all started. Happy birthday, darlings, to both of you. What is the most favorite pizza in America? We'll give you that result. And also, the Lions schedule is out. Who will they play on Thanksgiving? Who will they play on Monday night? Where will they play their Monday night game? All that coming up shortly. And the Tigers, Well, wait till you hear what happened to them in Seattle last night. That's all in 4 minutes. It's Michael Patrick Shields all across Michigan. We'll live to the Gulf, too, as soon as we get back. And I'm very glad you're doing that. What pizza are you eating these days? What's your favorite pizza? We were lucky in Michigan. We have two of the major pizza chains here. More than that, really, but let's just talk about the two. We have Domino's Pizza and Little Caesars Pizza, and it was ironic because at one time Domino's was owned by Tom Monahan, who owned the Tigers, and now Little Caesars, of course, is owned by Mike Ilitch, who does own the Tigers now. So it might have been a little bit of indigestion yesterday for Mr. Ilitch because the Seattle Mariners beat the Tigers 13-3 out west out there, so we're not going to talk too much about that. But anyway, Rasmussen did a poll on what is your favorite pizza. Do you want to know that Little Caesars came in fourth? 42% of people like Little Caesars. Domino's came in third. 48% of people drew a very favorable rating is what it came out as. So, number two, Papa John's. The fan base is a little smaller, but they like it more. And then the number one most favorite pizza chain, Pizza Hut, which is obviously a nationwide chain. Maybe you agree with that, maybe you don't. 888-900-9966. What is your favorite pizza? 888-900-9966 on this Wildcat Wednesday, brought to you by Northern Michigan University. Want to tell you, too, since we're speaking of sports, the Lions' schedule has been released for next year, and there might not be an NFL season, but there is a schedule, and there will be a draft. They're going to open September 11th at Tampa Bay. And then, believe it or not, we get a Monday night game again in Detroit at Ford Field on Monday, October 10th versus the Chicago Bears. Primetime Monday night football for the Lions. We haven't had a Monday night game at home since 2001. And you can see why. In that Monday night game, Lions lost to the Rams 35-0. Anyway, the Thanksgiving Day game is what you're probably also curious about. Green Bay will be coming in for that. Oh, Lions indeed. And then they'll wrap it all up ostensibly at Green Bay on New Year's Day in the cold. And if they go, they've got a really nice late season schedule because after, you get Carolina, then Green Bay, then New Orleans, that's a dome. And then in December, you go at Minnesota, that's a dome. And then you go to Oakland, that's not too bad. And San Diego comes in. So you're all warm weather games through November and December until you go to Green Bay on New Year's Day in the frigid temperatures to wrap it all up. So that's the schedule. Monday Night Football, we got an open. So let's hope there's a season. 7 minutes now before the hour. It was 1 year ago today that the Deepwater Horizon exploded, killing 11 workers and causing the largest oil spill in U.S. history. Now all the waters are open for fishing as we understand it, but Dr. Doug Inkley is a senior scientist with the National Wildlife Federation, and he's also a Michigan State Spartan to boot. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Can you hear me, Doctor? Where do we find you this morning?
I am in Myrtle Grove, down in Louisiana, right on the Gulf Coast.
What is the mood there today? I mean, can you tell? I mean, as I understand it, we're still sort of trying to figure out the full environmental impact.
Oh, we'll be trying to figure out the environmental impacts of this Gulf oil spill for many years into the future, because the impacts will be long-lasting and will continue because there's still a lot of oil left in the Gulf, and it will be for many years ahead. The mood here is one of still dismay. I was out on the water yesterday looking at some of the wetlands, and we were looking at oil. The local fishing captains were very unhappy with the situation. BP was trying to clean it up, but you really can't clean this stuff up. You only ever recover about 10% of the oil that is spilled. So the best thing to do to clean up this oil is to keep it from spilling in the first place.
Yeah, keep it from spilling in the first place. Did you say 10% of the oil that's spilled can be cleaned up? The rest just has to be soaked up by the environment?
That's exactly right. Surprise, isn't it? But once you spill it, it's virtually gone. You just can't get it back. So it's kind of futile to try to clean it up. You need to do the best job you can, but you also need to make sure you don't make the situation worse through the actions that you take. You can tear a marsh up really quick if you get in there with bulldozers and try to clean the oil up. That's a non-starter.
Is the oil evident to people who visit that region, or can you smell it in the air? Can you see it?
depends upon where you go. There are many areas you can go that you're not readily aware of it, but where we were yesterday, it was very evident. One of the things to keep in mind that people don't know is that the Prince William Sound wreck of the Exxon Valdez from 22 years ago, you can go up there today and you can still dig oil up out of the beaches. So it's going to be here for a while.
Wow. Very sorry to hear that. We appreciate your time this morning, especially since we're broadcasting here to the state of Michigan from the state capitol, from very near Michigan State University, your old stomping grounds where you were heard this morning, obviously in the heat of the action there in the Gulf Coast, having had a close look at it yesterday. That's Dr. Doug Inkley, the senior scientist from the National Wildlife Federation. We're going to northern Michigan when we get back. They got a lot of snow. Yes, it's April 20th, and yes, they may ski this weekend. We'll see about that. And also, Congressman Mike Rogers will join us. I'd like to get the definitive answer from him on whether a certificate of live birth and a birth certificate are the same thing. Also, we're changing the way that we gauge the terror threat now. The color codes are going to be gone. What's the new system? We'll find out from the congressman so that you can be forewarned and forearmed. Trish Reagan, the anchor from CNBC, will be here too, and I will. I'm Michael Patrick Shields. Glad to have you with us this morning. Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant, rainy or snowy hump day Wednesday to you. It's Michael Patrick Shields on a Wildcat Wednesday, brought to you by Northern Michigan University, located in Michigan's spectacular Upper Peninsula, founded as a teacher college, but now a dynamic four-year public coeducational university. They have 9,400 undergraduates and graduate students there in the UP's largest university. Safe, clean, friendly, natural environment in the beautiful city of Marquette along the shore of Lake Superior. It's a unique setting to go to college. And in fact, we understand that Tom Izzo and Tom Mariucci are going to start their golf tournament again this year, and we may broadcast live from Marquette with Izzo and Mariucci at Gray Walls up there in the summer. We'll give you more details as we know. An unusual game today at Comerica Park, if they can play due to the weather. It's the clash at Comerica. Michigan State versus Central Michigan in baseball, the first ever college baseball game at Comerica Park. Fire up chips and go Spartans, and let's just hope the weatherman cooperates, because it's, terrible weather lately. This week it's gray and rainy. But in Traverse City and Petoskey, where we're heard on WJML and WJNL, it is a winter wonderland. Rick Schmidt is with us from Crystal Mountain Resort, and he says, wait a minute, April showers are supposed to bring May flowers and golf and all the rest, but all of a sudden, old man winter reared his ugly head again, didn't he? Good morning, Rick Schmidt.
Well, good morning, MPS. And yes, old man winter came back yesterday, and there's not too many times in our world where we don't really root for the white stuff coming out of the sky, but this is one of them.
How many inches did you get there in the Benzie County area?
Yeah, depending on where you are, you're somewhere between 3 and 5. So it wasn't just a dusting. It's some nice heavy wet snow, and I'll tell you, there's quite a few people who are happy today, and most of them are in school, or not going to school, I should say.
An Easter week surprise. And the weird thing is, this is the latest Easter on record, as I understand it. And still, instead of the Easter bunny, we might have to have Santa Claus deliver the Easter eggs.
That would be a nice twist to the weather that we're having right now.
I guess so. And now, will there be skiing at Crystal Mountain, given the fact that it snowed?
Well, there will not, although it certainly looks like there could be. And we still had quite a bit of snow on some of the north-facing hills after the nice winter we had. And the reality is we probably have enough snow out there if we wanted to push it around to make it work, but it's just not in the cards this time.
Yeah, but it sure seems like it. And you wish you'd had this snowstorm come Thanksgiving or something like that, if you could have put it in a bottle. But here it is.
If you put it in a bottle, you'd have it right before Thanksgiving and start the ski season off with a bang. And unfortunately, we can't always predict what Mother Nature is going to bring us.
Well, that's the truth this morning. Well, be careful driving to work. You said the kids are perhaps out of school this morning, but it's a white sneak attack here on April. I had to look at the calendar. It's April 20th, and we have snow across northwest lower Michigan. And Rick Schmidt says the kids are smiling and everybody's sort of chagrined about the idea, but at Crystal Mountain Resort, they're ready to play golf. And we need the snow to get out of the way to do that. 12 minutes after the hour, it's Michael Patrick Shields. Just go to crystalmountain.com and check it out if you're interested in scheduling ahead of time. You can get the weather conditions there, too, on their live camera. Now, Gary Austin, via live camera, if you're watching on Fox 47, is here with this morning's news. Good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Michael Patrick. Well, Governor Snyder had wanted to cut school aid per pupil funding by $470 per student. However, a state Senate subcommittee looked this over and thought that was a bit too ambitious, and decided on $340 per student instead by way of cuts. Now, the full Senate could take this up sometime next week.
Would you think that do you think that's enough for the? Is that a victory for the teachers union and the teachers? Do they say, okay, well, we can handle that, but we couldn't handle what was coming before?
Well, I don't know. I think 470, according to the teachers, and was way too high. Whether or not that 340 is sort of a happy medium for those who teach the kids remains to be seen.
Yeah.
You got to figure some are going to be saying, look, 340, that's still too much. But some may say it's better than 470. So I think that whether or not that strikes a happy balance, that remains to be seen. And whether or not this could spin off into angering some in the union to the point where they say, we've got to go ahead with this proposed, talking about the work stoppage and slowdown and that sort of thing coming up too. So whether or not this plays into that, we'll see.
What else is on your mind?
Well, here, the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
This is really a sad story. And for the first time ever, an officer was killed in the line of duty. This happened Monday night. 35-year-old Eric Zapata was gunned down. The suspect in this shooting later killed himself. Now, officials say shootings like this are a part of a growing national trend involving violence against police. The state's Child Support Division was set up in the state's Attorney General's office in 2003, and ever since, a lot of money has been rounded up. Over $100 million in child support payments, the largest payment ever in Kent County, $250,000. That was in 2004. Attorney General Schuette is telling us the division's objective is to collect from parents who have the money to pay, but for whatever reason, refuse to. In West Michigan, for a long time now, for years, police have been trying to find the whereabouts of Penny Miller. And this latest tip could have paid off because officers did some digging in Hartford Township as a result of this tip, and they found remains of someone. And they think it could be her. Testing is underway now. 2 have been arrested, one for allegedly killing her and the other for allegedly burying her body in Hartford Township. So what are the odds of this happening? Lightning scoring a direct hit on your front door. Well, it happened in East Grand Rapids last night. Imagine the shock and surprise for the 5 people inside that place. First, a loud boom, and then a lot of racket as the door was blown clean off its hinges. Debris scattered about all over the place. For a while, the entire front entrance was on fire. It's a good thing nobody was standing nearby when that happened. They were far enough away so that nobody was hurt. This snowmobile season, the state tells us fewer were killed while riding one, and this is considerable, a 50% drop. The experts credit a number of things for this: additional efforts, for one, to get the word out on the importance of safety. So 13 died this season, 26 last season. With the DNR, Mary Detloff tells us the Michigan Snowmobile Association has done a, quote, phenomenal job emphasizing the value of making it safety first when riding one of these. In Michigan, did you know there are nearly 400,000 registered snowmobiles?
That's a lot, huh? But I'm glad a 50% drop.
Yeah, that's considerable. Safety efforts, getting the credit for that. Last year, the best-selling car for GM, the Chevy Malibu, and those at GM are hoping for the same kind of response from overseas shoppers as well. And that's why GM right now is making a big deal out of this at the Shanghai Auto Show, and that's going on this week in China. The car is making its debut in that country, and this week, complete with a high-definition webcast production that can be seen worldwide. GM is tying the Shanghai Auto Show into the unveiling of the Chevy Malibu, and I hope it sells well in the Far East, too.
And the government's deciding when to sell the rest of their shares of General Motors, as I understand. They're kind of in a hurry to do that. We're going to talk with John Hahn, the marketing manager for the Chevy Malibu. He is at the New York Auto Show this week, and we'll touch base with him a little bit later in the program. Also, Trish Reagan from CNBC, the anchor of The Call, and she's the author of the book Joint Ventures, and she's talking about joints, the marijuana industry exploding in the United States and certainly here in Michigan. She'll be with us coming up later, too. Gary, do you have a favorite pizza?
A favorite pizza? You know, I like it plain. I don't
Well,
like
I mean,
stuff
what
on it.
brand do you like?
Oh,
Where do you get your pizza?
What brand? Wow, that's you know, if I said one,
Well,
I
where'd you
don't
call right now if you could have one delivered on your
well,
doorstep?
You know, I tell you, there's Little Caesars.
Really?
It's
Okay.
you
Michigan Company, very
for
good.
two reasons. Michigan Company, obviously, and you know that $5 pizza.
Yeah.
You know, with
That's a bargain, huh?
that's tough to beat.
Large pizza for $5. Well, they
Yeah,
came in fourth place when it came to the favorability rating by Rasmussen. You know, how much do people love their Little Caesars?
So
Fourth place.
So who is number one?
Domino's in third place, another
All right,
Michigan
okay.
company. Papa John's, number 2.
Okay.
Smaller number of outlets, but bigger loyalty. And
who's number
Pizza
one?
Hut.
Pizza Hut was number one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite pizza?
They're all good.
888-900-9966.
They're all good. It's like one of my ex-wives, like she said, quoting her, she said, "I never met a pizza I didn't like." How about that, huh?
Okay.
I like that.
888-900-9966. 888-900-9966. Your favorite pizzas. Do you agree with this survey? Coming next. And Congressman Mike Rogers and the price of gold in 4 minutes. The unmistakable voice and talent of Elton John. Elton John is heading back to Las Vegas, and he's going to stay a while. If you've never seen him in concert, let me just tell you, this is always a fantastic show with Elton John. And the number of hits that he's put out worldwide is absolutely unbelievable. This is your chance to see him. Caesars Palace announced this week that Elton John is going to launch a 3-year residency at the Las Vegas Resort and Casino beginning this fall. What does that mean? That means he's going to be the house musician at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. There have been others that have done it before. Cher was in residency there for a while, and the Canadian singer, what's her name? She had the show for a long time, too, there at Celine Dion, that's right. She was in residence at Las Vegas there, says Tony Cuthbert. And the show's going to be called The $1 Million Piano, and it's going to bring Elton John closer to all of his fans.
It gives me a chance to be far closer to my fans. I mean, last time on the show, they were on stage with me during Saturday night. They will be on stage with me again, because I love that. I love that. I want them to be on stage with me. I want to feel that connection with them.
He sits down at that piano and he bangs away on the keyboard, and that'll debut at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace September 28th. Tickets for the first 16 performances are available starting next Monday. And he's been at Las Vegas before in residency, before like this, back in 2005. So there's your chance to see Elton John. I saw him in person. Well, I've seen him in concert a number of times at the Palace of Auburn Hills and various other places. But I ran into him in Atlanta. He had a house in Buckhead, and I was in the lobby of the Swiss Hotel. If you've ever been to, it's in that Lenox Square area there, really near Buckhead. It's a very busy area, and he was in the lobby, and he passed through without any fanfare. He had some business to do, or he was meeting someone, it looked like, or something, and there he was, Elton John, right next to me. And I met Billy Joel. You know, they used to tour together, Billy Joel and Elton John, and I met Billy Joel on one occasion too. I've seen them in concert, but Billy Joel, I was at the Crillon Hotel in Paris, and believe it or not, I was there for the Paris Auto Show, I guess, and I was with a couple of pals, and we were sitting in the lobby bar at the Crillon Hotel, just at down the end there near the Tuileries, and we're sitting in the bar, and it's called Les Ambassadeurs. It's a small bar. It's no bigger than this studio right here. We're sitting in, and my back is to someone at the bar who's having a cigar. So he's sitting in the high chair behind me, facing the bar, and I'm sitting at a low table right behind him. And sure enough, there he was. It was Elton John. I mean, it was Billy Joel having a cigar and a drink. And, nobody bothered him. He sat there and he did a little nod, hello, how you doing, that kind of thing. And there was a piano player in the corner of the bar. And the piano player took a break. And he announced in French and then in English, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back shortly. And so I turned to Billy Joel, the piano man, right? And I looked at him and I said, well, how about it? And I pointed to the piano, and he said, that'll cost you $100,000. I said, charge it to my room. And we all had a good laugh, but he didn't sit down at the piano. That would have been magical. But nevertheless, run-ins with celebrities are always fun. Now, we have been getting some responses about your favorite pizza. Now, there was a Rasmussen did a report. 60% of Americans who eat pizza give Pizza Hut a favorable rating, according to the Rasmussen poll. Papa John's takes second place. Then Domino's, which had struggled for a while but changed their recipe, in third place. And Little Caesars in fourth place, with their favorable reviews from people that eat those pizzas. So I asked you, what is your favorite pizza? At 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. The Cottage Inn is one of the pizzas we're hearing about. DeLuca's, says Molly McGuire. DeLuca's on the west side of Lansing over there, a family tradition. Pizza House is another college favorite on campus there. Happy's Pizza is new, and also a New Michigan company, I think, too. And Jets is a Michigan company as well. Bell's Greek Pizza, they're the one they stay open really late at night in case you need pizza late at night, if you know what I mean, for a little bit of soak up. And John Truscott likes Spags Pizza from over there on the east side, Okemos area, on the way to Williamston. So we'll ask you your favorite, too, at 888-900-9966. Pizza Hut, I'm surprised, is the favorite. I mean, but they're always creative there, too. Right now, what do they have? That stuffed crust pizza is what they're touting. But Pizza Hut, Papa John's, and then you get the Michigan companies, Domino's, followed by Little Caesars at 30 minutes after the hour. Speaking of Little Caesars, Mr. Ilitch would have been a little bit upset last night. He owns Little Caesars and the Tigers, and the Tigers lost to the Mariners 13-3 yesterday. The Mariners scored 4 first-inning runs on only 1 hit. Phil Koch apparently walked 4 batters and committed an error, and that's a bummer. Michigan State is going to play CMU at Comerica Park at 6:35 today, the first ever college game ever in Comerica Park. That's if the weather cooperates. What are they calling that? It's the Clash at Comerica for the Spartans versus the Chips. Fire up, Chips! And I will tell you that the Detroit Lions have released their schedule. They're going to have a Monday night game in Detroit against Chicago on Monday, October 10th. They open up at Tampa on September 11th. Green Bay is the Thanksgiving Day game. And the last game of the year, if there are no playoffs, that is New Year's Day, Sunday, at frigid Green Bay at that time of year. That's your schedule, the highlights of your schedule. Anything else interesting in there, I guess? You know, we're talking about this as if there's going to be a season. Right now there's labor problems, and so there may not be a season. Well, they get Oakland, San Diego, non-conference, Denver, Atlanta, Dallas, and Kansas City and Tampa. I guess that's okay. Not bad schedule. 31 minutes after the hour. Peggy in Jackson is ringing in at 888-900-9966. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Do you have a favorite pizza?
Well, in Jackson, the
Yeah.
Andy's pizzas are the best pizzas.
Andy's, you say?
Yeah, there's 3 locations here in Jackson, and they have the best pizza on anybody in this town.
What makes it so good?
I don't know. I don't know what the secret recipes on all those pizzas are, but they have just, the crust is thin and it's crunchy kind of, but doughy in the middle, and they also have the best coney dogs at Andy's.
Not bad breakfast today. Pizza and coney dogs, huh?
Oh my gosh, over the top.
You know, the big debate seems to be, too, Peggy and Jackson there, that do you like your pizza thin and crispy, or do you like it thick and doughy? And she says that's sort of a combination of crispy and doughy. But sometimes people like that Chicago-style pizza that's really thick, and then you get the New York pizza is like as big as this piece of paper, and you fold it in half, and like, so anyway, the debate rages. Who is the best pizza? 888-900-9966 is the number to call. On Friday, Earth Day and Good Friday, we will be live at the American Metal Roof show studio. What they have is sort of a design center in Charlotte. And if you happen to want to stop by, that's where we'll be that morning. If you're watching on Fox 47, we'll show you why. Maybe a sunroof, you know, a solar panel roof might be the best thing for you on Earth Day to save a little bit on your energy bills. They're going to explain that all to us on Friday, and that's our pre-Easter show, of course, on Good Friday. Gold futures now, $1,500.50 an ounce. Is what gold is going for these days. Tomorrow morning, we're going to talk with someone from the Michigan State Police and a couple of attorneys, too, because Michigan State Police are making national news. Apparently, they have a high-tech mobile forensics device, and they can use that to extract information from cell phones that belong to motorists. If they stop you for a traffic violation, let's say, They can extract all that data from your phone, your pictures, your texts, your emails, who you've called, who you've been talking to, what you've been doing. And the ACLU says, wait a minute, we want more information on it. They say the state of Michigan is stonewalling freedom of information requests. So we're going to talk about that. Law enforcement officers apparently have been known to encourage citizens to cooperate if they have nothing to hide. And so anyway, we're going to talk to somebody from the Michigan State Police about this as well tomorrow, too. I talked to Colonel Etru last night. She's on vacation, but she's going to arrange that for us. We'll have a turn. We'll have both sides of the story tomorrow morning. That's what we try to do. Hey, there's a guy been handing out $100 bills at Walmart in the Saginaw area. He's done it at Save-A-Lot, too. And all he does is he says, Happy Easter, gives you an envelope, puts it in your cart anonymously as he walks by, and you open it up, and it's a $100 bill. He's in his 40s, a white man. I don't think you should go looking for him, but that's kind of a good Samaritan who's just spreading a little bit of wealth. The Secretary of State, Ruth Johnson, says if you have a photo ID, you ought to be able to get an absentee ballot for absolutely no excuse. Now, we're one of many 30 states offer this. You can get an absentee ballot if you want. You don't have to have any reason. You just say, I want to have an absentee ballot. You don't have to say you're going to be out of the country or out of town or you can't get to the poll because of work or you're sick or anything like that. You just say, I want one. Here's my ID. Can I have one? Will that fly? We'll find out. Politics is our family business, 35 minutes after the hour. Coming up next, Emmy-nominated CNBC host Trish Regan on marijuana in Michigan. Stay tuned. Well, it is a new day, and I hope you're feeling good on this Wednesday morning. Trish Regan will be joining us, the anchor from The Call on CNBC. And we got a message this morning from a fellow who says he thinks Trish Regan is the cat's meow. And he says, much hotter than Erin Burnett. Everybody knows that CNBC's Erin Burnett is my secret crush. And Trish Regan will join us. Maybe we'll settle that. Actually, she's written a book called Joint Ventures. And she's talking about the marijuana industry in the United States, and it's no more prevalent than it is here in Michigan, where you can see marijuana shops right down the street from us here on Michigan Avenue, like literally blocks from the Capitol, right across the street from our American Metal Roof studio here in the Gillespie Group Stadium District building. You got the baseball stadium across the street, you got a hotel, you got the Capitol, the governor's office, and then you got pot shops. 2 or 3 of them, in fact, as I drive down Michigan Avenue and see them, because we legalized medical marijuana here in Michigan. It was a voter deal. We decided to do it. And then everybody says, what do we do with this? Who's allowed to grow it? Who's allowed to sell it? Who's allowed to buy it? How does it all work? And that's what Trish Regan, I think, is talking about, the anchor from CNBC. So she'll be with us coming up very, very shortly. And later in the program, we'll hear the argument between George Stephanopoulos and Donald Trump that happened yesterday on Good Morning America. And the President of the United States was in a skirmish, too. Well, a skirmish. He had some local TV reporters come in and interview him on camera at the White House. One of them was from Texas, and this fella from Texas decided he didn't really want to take any guff from the president. He wasn't going to let him slide on some of his answers. So he sort of, I don't say interrupted, he cut him off a little bit, and the president didn't like that very much. And so at the end of the interview, the president said, listen, next time we do an interview, let me finish my answers. He took off his microphone and left. And one of the reasons they were sort of arguing is that at one point the president, the interviewer said, why are you so unpopular in Texas? And the president said, listen, I know I lost by a couple of percentage points here. And the man interrupted him and said, you lost by 10. President Obama did. I don't know if anyone would like that. But anyway, when you're the president, it's a big deal. So he was on camera looking a little bit rankled, if you know what I mean. And at the end, he gave him the old what for. Next time, let me finish my answers. And something tells me there might not be a next time for that guy from Texas. Trish Regan is with us now, Emmy-nominated reporter and the author of the book, Joint Ventures. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
I said a few minutes ago that there was a debate going on. One of my listeners sent me a text, and he said he thought you were the hottest thing ever to come from CNBC. My debate is Erin Burnett, but all due respect to you, how do we settle that?
Wow, that's very sweet of him to say. But, you know.
He's a very sweet guy.
Got to get you on the bandwagon, too. Jeez.
I know. Well, hey, it's a tie. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
You know, when you're talking about financial news these days with the market and the way the economy is, you need a spoonful of sugar with the medicine, don't you?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Your book, Joint Ventures, is especially interest to us, the exploding marijuana industry, because here in Michigan, as I was saying, we have legalized marijuana now, and I can walk right out the door of this studio right now, right out into the street, across the street, and there's a marijuana shop. You know, I wasn't used to that growing up, and I didn't grow up in Amsterdam.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a big shift that we've seen nationwide just within the last 3 years. I began reporting on this for a documentary I was working on for CNBC called Marijuana Inc., and at that point, it was very much an underground industry, a huge industry. I mean, we're talking about $100 billion that this industry is worth, which makes it basically America's #1 cash crop. But just within the last several years, I would say seen a huge shift where it's basically come out of the shadows, much more into the mainstream. And, you know, like you said, now you can walk across the street and walk into a dispensary. I mean, Colorado, which is a state that I spent a lot of time in my research, I was amazed there because they now have more pot dispensaries than they do liquor stores and Starbucks combined in the city of Boulder. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about it. 80,000 people that now have medical marijuana cards. 400 a day are applying for medical marijuana cards in the state of Colorado. So it's a business that's really taken off. And I talk in the book with entrepreneurs, these people that are on the front lines of this industry, and they're essentially risking it all because to run one of these dispensaries or grow facilities, you could find yourself in federal prison. It may be legal by the state, but it's not legal as far as the federal government is concerned.
Yeah, that's what happened here in Michigan. It was passed by a vote, and then everybody said, "What do we do with this? Who's allowed to grow it?" Who, you know, it kind of got a little bit. Have you ever smoked marijuana yourself?
I've never smoked marijuana. No, you know, I kind of missed that window, I guess, in college.
Yeah, me too.
You did, yeah, where one might have done it, and now at this point I'm like, well, it's a little late. I've got two 16-month-old twins, and I certainly would hope they would never smoke it either.
Yeah,
that
I always
said,
thought.
you know, I'm very much a big believer in individual choice and individual responsibility, and I think one of the things, and this is something I talk about quite a bit in the book, is are we really doing the best are we doing what we can with our taxpayer dollars? In other words, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year policing this prohibition effort, and yet maybe that money would be better spent and you could spend less of it by putting it into substance abuse programs.
Or imagine how much we could raise in taxes, too, if it were legalized and taxed. I'm just saying. Jeffrey Feiger said it, too, last week. He said we ought to, in Detroit, legalize marijuana, legalize prostitution, and have it be the new Amsterdam. That was his solution for the city of Detroit. Thank you, Trish Reagan, for the time you've had with us this morning. The Emmy-nominated reporter, and the book is called Joint Ventures, of a special interest here in Michigan. Got a vote for Buddy's Pizza, by the way, for best pizza in the Detroit area. If you've ever had a Buddy's Pizza, that's the favorite of some pretty well-known people in the Detroit area. This is after the Rasmussen survey said that Pizza Hut, followed by Papa John's, followed by Domino's and Little Caesars were the most favorite pizzas for the people who really enjoyed them. Coming up next hour, I promised we would play the audio of President Obama with the reporter from Texas. So if you're watching on Fox 47, next hour, turn to 1240 a.m. in the Lansing area on the radio, and you'll be able to hear the president with this reporter from Texas as they had that testy exchange. We'll also have the somewhat testy exchange of Donald Trump with George Stephanopoulos from Good Morning America. Do you think people are just getting a little testy with each other because the weather isn't very good and they've had enough of it and they want spring and summer? Possibly. You'll find out next hour on whatever radio station you're listening to right now and in the Lansing area on 1240 a.m. WJIM. It's 9 minutes before the hour. We'll also talk with the Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard next hour as well. I want to bring in Bill Gubing right now. Bill Gubing is the chief engineer of the 2013 Taurus. He is at the New York Auto Show for the Ford Motor Company. Good morning to you.
Hi, how you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. I was noticing a story this morning that Toyota says it has started measuring the radiation levels of vehicles bound for export. People are nervous that maybe parts from Toyota vehicles or Toyota vehicles in general could be full of radiation. Do you think that's possible as an engineer?
Boy, I don't have a good answer to that one, Mike. I'll be honest with you. But But from a Ford Motor Company perspective, we are really excited about the 2013 Taurus, and I would love to tell you a little bit more about that.
All right. I just was curious to know if a car could carry radiation like that or parts in a car from Japan, and they say people are nervous about it, so they want to sort of provide customer peace of mind. And customer peace of mind is important. I know when you're making a buying decision when it comes to safety, now usually you think of how a car performs in a crash situation, but you never expect to have radiation in the vehicle that you buy. Is the Taurus, a Ford Taurus, a safe vehicle?
Taurus is an extremely safe vehicle. We have a 5-star crash rating, and we really build on a trinity of safety features, including its high tensile strength steel structure, to the way it manages its crash impact loads, and really protects the occupants of the vehicle.
The other big thing that people, I think, people buy cars for different reasons and they have different needs, but fuel economy certainly on people's mind these days. Some of the states have gas prices that are averaging more than $4 a gallon. Is the new Ford Taurus anything to shake a stick at when it comes to fuel economy?
Fuel economy is something that's really on the top of on everyone's mind right now, and we're really excited with this new Taurus here. We're launching the 2-liter EcoBoost engine into the vehicle, and that's an engine that'll give us 237 horsepower, 250 foot-pounds of torque, while giving us 31 miles per gallon or better on the highway. And that's a mile per gallon better than the Audi A6, and 2 miles per gallon better than the Toyota Avalon. So something that we're really proud of, giving our customers the power and performance, and also the fuel economy.
In Traverse City and Petoskey this morning, where we have listeners in northern Michigan through Gaylord and Benzie County, they have lots of snow, believe it or not, on April 20th. 4 to 6 inches yesterday. It's going to snow again today. I understand the Ford Taurus has a heated steering wheel.
It certainly does. It's one of the new features that we're offering. It just adds to the interior comfort, and it goes perfectly with our heated and cooled seats as well.
Sounds pretty good. Boy, the cars aren't what they used to be anymore, and you can have a heated steering wheel and a new Ford Taurus. They say it's a snazzy 2 sedan for people who need a little room. Greener, yet powerful, is what we're hearing from Bill Gubing. He's the chief engineer for the 2013 Taurus at the New York Auto Show. It's 5 minutes before the hour. Michael Patrick Shields. John Hahn will join us next hour, the marketing manager for the Chevy Malibu. He, too, is at the New York Auto Show. At the same time, the Shanghai show is going on. You're running out of time if you want to have dinner at the 1913 room in Grand Rapids, because that's going to close. Michigan's only 5-diamond-rated restaurant. After 30 years in business, the owners in the Amway Grand Hotel, they're going to shut it down. There's not going to be any sort of goodbye party or anything like that. They're going to go quietly into that great night, we understand, and then sometime in the fall, the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel will turn that restaurant into a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And I suppose there will be a lot of fanfare when they open up that. Next hour, I mentioned the audio of President Obama. And here's the story, too. Out of the Minnesota Department of Transportation, they're a little worried with all these fuel-efficient vehicles and hybrids and electric cars and all that they're going to get a decrease in revenue from the gas tax. So they got to say, what are we going to do if people aren't using gas as much? They're going to test you and tax you, perhaps, on the miles you drive. So they're testing technology right now to collect mileage-based user fees. How they're going to do it, I don't know, with a GPS device or something in your car that racks up the miles, but they want to see if just maybe, you could be taxed based on the number of miles you drive on Minnesota roads. Could that be coming here next? Sort of, you can do that with toll booths, but this is a more modern technology. We are keeping our eyes on your money and politics, too. Next hour, Oakland County Sheriff Mike Bouchard. Donald Trump's audio, his fight with Stephanopoulos, and the president and fight with that local reporter, all coming to you right after the news. It's Michael Patrick Shields. Radio listeners, stay right where you are. Television viewers, we'll see you tomorrow or hear you on the radio next hour. It's Michael Patrick Shields.
Muchachas, they call me Big Papa. When I throw pesos their way, adios and vaya con